Hey all, it's Kayla here from Wild Camo. Today, we're going to dive deep into one of the most misunderstood parts of whitetail hunting, and that's thermals. We're going to break down something I know has busted a hunt for every single one of us, getting winded when that wind should have been absolutely perfect. Yep, we're talking about that invisible force that can make or break your whole season. And today, we're going to make it visible. And hey, before we get into the thick of it, if you like this kind of content, do me a huge favor, hit that like and subscribe button, and you can even swing by my website to check out all my free ebooks. All right, let's get to it. So picture this. You've checked the forecast a dozen times. You've got a perfect northwest wind for your favorite morning stand. You're set up, quiet as can be, and right on cue. You see him. The buck you've been chasing all season long. He's working his way to you, and then he just stops. His head snaps up, nose goes in the air, and poof. He is gone. What in the world just happened? That, my friends, was the ghost wind. So today, we're pulling back the curtain on all of it. We'll start with that ghost wind, then we'll decode the air currents so you understand them. After that, we'll get into some advanced stand strategies, tackle the big challenge of hunting a thermal vortex, and then wrap it all up with a simple field guide you can take right into the woods. That unseen force, the one that busted your hunt, it's not some crazy sixth sense the deer have. It's just science. See, it's not the main wind you see on your weather app. It's the thermals. Okay, so what exactly are thermals? Well, to put it simply, they're just invisible currents of air created by temperature changes. They're happening all the time, even on a day that feels dead calm. When the sun comes up and starts to warm the ground, that warm air starts to rise. And then in the evening, as the ground loses all that heat, the cooler, heavier air starts to sink. It's this constant cycle of rising and falling. And it all boils down to this one simple, but absolutely critical difference. Just remember this. In the morning, your scent goes up. In the evening, your scent goes down. I'm telling you, this one little concept is the key to unlocking success, and it changes everything about where you decide to set up. You know, it can be tough to wrap your head around something you can't see, so let's try to visualize it. The great hunter Greg Miller used a perfect example. Think about a buzzard just circling high up in the sky. When you see it gaining altitude without even flapping its wings, well, it's riding a rising column of warm air. That's a thermal. Or think about the smoke from your campfire on a calm morning, just going straight up. Same thing. And on the flip side, when you see your own breath on a cold evening, watch how it just falls toward the ground. That's a falling thermal in action right there. So now that we know what thermals are, let's decode how these predictable patterns directly impact where our scent is going, and more importantly, how we can use them to our advantage. Okay, let's break down that hunt we talked about at the beginning. This is the morning trap. You climb into your ridgetop stand in the dark. As that sun starts to rise, it starts heating up the side of a hill and the valley floor below you. All that warming air begins to rise, and it carries your scent right up with it, kind of like a hot air balloon. And once your scent gets to the top of that ridge, the main wind, even a light one, grabs it and just blankets the entire other side. You've just told every deer bedded over there that you're here, and you didn't even know it. But now, let's flip the script. The evening is where that exact same ridgetop stand becomes your absolute best friend. You set up in the afternoon. As the sun starts to set, the ground loses heat, and it loses it fast. The air around you gets cooler, it gets denser, and it starts to sink. Now, your scent is getting pulled straight down the backside of the ridge, completely away from any deer that might be coming up from the front or walking along the top. See? That same ridge top that betrayed you in the morning is now the perfect ambush spot. Okay, so understanding that morning rise and evening fall, that's the foundation. Now, let's build on that with some more advanced strategies for playing both the wind and the thermals. So if a ridge top is bad in the morning and good in the evening, what's the safest all-around bet? It's what I call the mid-ridge compromise. Instead of sitting right on top, you move about halfway down the ridge, on the downwind side of the trail you expect those deer to use. This way, it doesn't matter if the thermals are rising or falling. Your scent is getting pulled off to the side and down, away from the deer's path. This is probably the single most versatile and safest setup for hunting ridges. Period. Now there are a few other things to keep in mind. Stand height definitely matters, especially late in the season when all the leaves are off the trees. Getting up high, say over 20 feet on a narrow ridge, can really help the wind carry your scent clean over the backs of deer below. Also, look for what we call side hill winds. A wind that runs parallel to the ridge is often way more consistent and predictable. And finally, you gotta remember that a good steady breeze, I'm talking more than 5 or 10 miles an hour, can often overpower the subtle pull of thermals. You have to be able to figure out which force is the dominant one where you're at. Alright, we've covered ridges. Now we're gonna talk about the most challenging places to hunt in the entire woods. The bottoms, the draws, and the dreaded thermal hubs. So what in the world is a thermal hub? Well, the folks over at Meat Eater define it perfectly. It's a spot, usually in a creek bottom, where 3 or more draws all come together. If you look at it on a topo map, it kind of looks like a turkey's foot. Now, these spots are absolute deer magnets. They are full of scrapes, rubs, trails, but they are a complete nightmare to hunt. Why? Because as that cool air falls down each of those draws, it all collides in the bottom and it creates this big mess of swirling, unpredictable wind. Here's the absolute best way to think about it. Imagine you're dumping water into a bowl from 3 different sides at the same time. It's going to create a whirlpool effect, right? That is exactly what your scent is doing in a thermal hub. It gets thrown in every single direction, making it almost impossible to hunt clean. These are the spots that are famous for getting you busted for no reason. So the big question is, can you even hunt one of these spots? Well, yes, but the conditions have to be absolutely perfect. You need a light wind, I'm talking under 5 miles an hour, to keep the air from swirling too much. It helps a whole lot if it's a wide bottom, not some tight little bowl. The absolute best time is a calm, frosty morning when the air is at its most stable. And if there's a creek running through it, use it to your advantage. That moving water can actually pull your scent downstream like a vacuum. But if even one of these things is off, you're honestly better off just leaving a camera there and hunting somewhere else. Okay, I know that was a lot of information, so let's boil it all down into a simple little field guide with some hard and fast rules you can use on your very next hunt. Rule number 1, and this one is non-negotiable. You have to always carry a wind checker. It doesn't matter if it's milkweed, a powder bottle, whatever. Your weather app tells you the general wind for the whole county. A wind checker tells you exactly what that invisible ghost wind is doing in the 10 feet around your tree stand. It is the single most important tool for hunting thermals. And here it is, y'all, the cheat sheet to put it all together. In the mornings, your scent rises, so you need to hunt above where you think the deer will be, or on the side of a ridge. Just stay off those ridge tops. In the evenings, your scent falls, so those same ridge tops can be absolute gold. When it comes to the valleys and the thermal hubs, just try to avoid them unless the conditions are perfect. They're incredible spots for trail cameras, but they are treacherous to hunt. And above all else, trust that little puff of powder over anything else. So there you have it. That ghost wind, it's not a mystery anymore. It's predictable force of nature that you can actually use to your advantage. You now have the secrets of the air. So the only question left is, which one of your hunting spots are you thinking about a little differently now? Where are you gonna hunt next? Thank you so much for watching. If you're always looking to learn and improve, check out my website at www.thewildcamo.com. You'll find countless free ebooks and hundreds of hours of audiobooks to help you learn on the go. As I always say, frustration begins where your knowledge ends. If you learned something new, please give this video a like and let me know in the comments. And be sure to subscribe. I post new hunting videos almost every day. Until next time, happy hunting.